map of State Senate District 9. This is going to be a critical race for us, simply because the very close margins in past elections that when John Sapien was running against his Republican opponents, always won by just a couple hundred votes. So this is going to be a very tough seat for us to keep. And that's why this forum is so critical, because we have to, as Democrats, have to choose the strongest candidate possible to run, not only to win the primary, but to win the general election as well. This is a chance for us to really kind of, hold on to our majority in the state Senate. And that's why I'm so appreciative of three candidates for coming today and giving us a chance to scrutinize them a little bit to see who's going to really be able to best hold on to this territory for us. Next slide, Deb. So those are our three Democratic candidates for Senate District 9. Ben Rotifer, Brenda McKenna, Kevin Lucero. Do we have the forum rules, Deb?
I'm sorry, what?
You have the forum rules. I think you had like the forum guidelines.
Yeah, they're up earlier, I think.
Okay. Let's just go back to them. Okay, great. So forum practices and norms. I'm just going to read this off. So courtesy, honesty, and fairness practiced by all participants. Attendees' microphones are muted. The host, which is really Deb Dapson, controls the microphones of the presenters. I've gotten 65 questions submitted, presented in advance to me. So we're going to be using those questions to ask people, ask the three candidates about their views on various issues. Attendees may use the chat box to communicate with the host, presenters, and attendees. And a recording of the forum will be posted to the county's website. So if we can go to the first candidate.
Yeah, let me get the picture.
Okay, so we're going to go reverse alphabetical order. The rules are each of the three candidates will get 5 minutes to speak and make their case to us. After they're finished with each of their 5 minutes, then we'll go into question and answer with them. So with that, we're going to hand the forum off to Ben, and he will have 5 minutes to make his case to us.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
You're unmuted, yeah.
Okay, great.
Mute me, actually, so that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you. So again, it's just nice to see everyone here to make this a little more authentic, and also to help our dear friends at the range. I have an order of the range's huevos in front of me that I'm looking forward to eating soon. And they've opened for takeout. So if anybody's missing it, you can order from them now. So most of you know me pretty well. I moved here in 1967. Grew up here, went to Sandoval Elementary. I worked on Jimmy Carter's campaign when I was 12. I went to our public schools. I went off to Cornell. I worked for Jeff Bingaman for a short while. And then, I had a family and have raised my two daughters here. And it's been wonderful to see them grow up in the same community that I grew up in. And of course, things have changed a bit, but this is such a wonderful corner of the earth. And I just love being here. I love having my girls grow up, with the Bosque, with the river, with everything that we have here, hiking up La Luz Trail. And something that's really important to me and comes from having been here for over half a century is an appreciation for each of the distinct corners of this district. When I first moved here, Placitas was just the village portion. Rio Rancho had about 150 families at that point. That was about it up there. It's been amazing, the growth and things that have happened there. But to me, it's really important to respect each of these distinct communities and to represent each of them and to listen to each of them and their needs and interests, because they're different. Rio Rancho has concerns with water, with infrastructure, education. Placitas obviously has concerns with infrastructure as well, and broadband coverage there, as well as in Bernalillo. And now with so many of our students doing their learning virtually, You know, a lot of corners of Sandoval County have only dial-up internet speed at best at this point, and that is just exacerbating the education disparity that we have, and that's something I really want to work hard on. You know, Placitas has concerns, and very valid concerns, with Vulcan potentially expanding their sand and gravel mining up there, and that's a federal issue. And I've already talked to both of our U.S. senators on that matter, and we're hoping that with a new administration come January that we'll have better luck in trying to block that, because that's on BLM land. There's pipeline safety issues up there, and again, I've already been in coordination with Senator Udall's office, and we're hoping to get a inspector general out there to look at those pipelines. Bernalillo has their own issues with predatory lending, with infrastructure. I've been talking to leaders at Sandia Pueblo about their water issues. So it's just important to me not to lump this together into one district. This is really several distinct communities with distinct needs. And it's important to me to represent those needs and to fight for each of those communities and what they want and need. You know, having served in the New Mexico House and been a state rep here, and indeed having run in this same primary against John Sapien in 2012, I have a lot of good relationships and good name recognition. I'm supported by so many wonderful leaders in the community, from Corrales Indivisible to Paul and Laura Stokes and George Franzen, the Wagner Farms in Corrales, which just warms my heart because I grew up going there for corn and apples and chili. And my kids have been to their pumpkin patch and their corn maze. So it's just really important to me. I love this community, and I'm really excited to get the chance to represent it again and stand up on our behalf and fight for us. I've been endorsed by New Mexico's teachers through AFT New Mexico, so that includes Corrales' teachers, Rio Rancho's teachers, Albuquerque's, UNM's teachers. I've been endorsed by conservation voters. Former USDA director under President Obama, Terry Bruner, has said that my leadership was crucial during the Great Recession to our recovering, our economy recovering. So I'm ready to get back to work there. And there's a lot of work to be done. I was also president twice of the New Mexico Renewable Energy Industries Association, which is the sector that has been responsible for the greatest job growth in New Mexico over the last 2 decades. So I've got a lot of good ideas there. There's a lot of work to be done with healthcare and expanding Medicaid coverage and protecting preventive and reproductive healthcare for women. In education, you know, we just need to rebuild the system from the ground up, essentially, and you know, just start fresh and rebuild the high school curriculum, both the core parts and the you know, the choices that the kids have beyond that, and the arts and everything, and find ways to engage the students and keep the teachers engaged as well, give them the opportunity to put forward classes that they might want to teach based on their own experiences and focus and specialties.
Sorry, I had to cut you off, Ben.
So for our next candidate, Brenda McKenna.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Grace Agoyathan McKenna. I'm originally from Nambe Owinge and reside in Corrales. I have volunteered for many environmental and wildlife organizations and groups, especially the Democratic Party. Having served as a precinct and a vice ward chair, I appreciate what many in the audience do for the party. I thank all the precinct chairs and ward chairs, Chris, Oscar, Patrick, Deb, Teresa, and our chairman, John Sweda. Your dedication makes a difference for Sandoval Democrats and New Mexico as a whole. I didn't envision that I would run for office during a global pandemic that has altered the lives of virtually everyone on Earth This has thrust the importance of focused, disciplined, and committed leadership to the forefront. And here I am. Now more than ever, my public service, activism, and organizing are critical skills to help lead New Mexico back from the socioeconomic devastation wrought by this pandemic. That has wreaked havoc on the lives of nearly every citizen in our state, and probably many of our family and friends in this room today. My roots are really humble ones. I'm a daughter of a dental assistant. My mother grew up on the Nambe Pueblo Reservation, was forced to go to day school and the Santa Fe Indian School. It was a very difficult time for her. She was not even allowed to go to public school until the 9th grade. English is her third language. And my father is a Vietnam veteran. He served over 20 years in both the Navy and the Air Force. That's when we moved back here to New Mexico. I'm currently employed, but on leave, by one of my cherished mentors, Congresswoman Deb Haaland, as one of the very first two Native women elected to Congress in American history. Isn't that hard to believe? Deb has shown me firsthand what can be accomplished when you take the values that have shaped you for a lifetime and apply them to the work necessary to make sure every New Mexican has access to affordable health care, to protect our environment, educate our kids, and build an economy that supports our working families. We are so fortunate to have the incredibly strong Democratic women leading our state during this public health crisis. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham has emerged as one of the strongest state executives in the country. Her unwavering leadership has resulted in New Mexico's rating as one of the best for dealing with this cruel virus. In the state Senate, I look forward to working with the governor to support her and her agenda and move New Mexico forward by promoting the progressive values that my future constituents and the overwhelming majority of New Mexicans want. First, we must take care of the earth and she will take care of us. During the shutdown of major cities around the world, we've seen the incredible impact on our environment when the burning of fossil fuels is minimized or eliminated. For the first time in decades, urban residents around the world can see their mountains for miles, and they didn't even know they were there. And I can see a future for New Mexico that transitions us from oil and gas to green energy that will create thousands of good paying jobs, protect the earth, and diversify our economy. My Pueblo upbringing taught me to always think about future generations. And that's why I will fight for kids and make sure they get fully funded K through 12 support. While our state faces unprecedented levels of unemployment as a result of the coronavirus, I know we need to strengthen our families by ensuring they have a living wage. There is no higher responsibility during this unprecedented crisis than public service. I will serve District 9 with integrity, strength, and heart. As your state senator, I will make decisions that encompass my values and I'll listen. I'm honored to have the endorsements of Congresswoman Deb Haaland, Senator Mimi Stewart, Representative George Lewis, Albuquerque City Councilman Pat Davis, Mary Ellen Capek, Lisa Franzen, Sayer Garhart, Cheryl Hasse, Sue Hallgarth, Tweety Pisano, Suazo, Planned Parenthood Votes New Mexico, Sierra Club, Conservation Voters New Mexico Action Fund, Animal Protection Votes New Mexico, and the National Education Association. My passion for advocacy of progressive values has been a long life journey, and there's only 21% women in the chamber and only 5% Native American. I want to boost those numbers. I'm Brenda McKenna. I believe right now is the right time for leadership like mine. That's why I'm asking for your vote on June 2nd. Please consider volunteering a few hours a week for our campaign. Please visit our campaign site, brendamckennaforsenate.com. And thank you, John and Deb, for organizing this forum.
Thank you so much, Brenda. For our next candidate, Kevin Lucero.
Thank you, John, and thank you everybody for being here. It's great to see everybody. Good morning. My name is Kevin Lucero, and I'm running for the honor to be your next state senator from District 9. I'm born and raised in New Mexico. I'm a fourth-generation rancher farmer from right here in Sandoval County. I have 27 years of public service experience. I'm currently serving as a elected village councilman here in the village of Corrales, where I work every day to make sure that I am answering to my constituency and doing the things that they tell me are important to them. Quality of life, infrastructure, public safety. I work hard every day to make sure that my constituency and the people of Corrales are listened to, it's addressed, and their problems and concerns are made whole. That is the biggest thing to me as an elected official. I told myself, if ever I have the honor to have this position, that I would answer to that. I would answer to my constituency. I think that's the most important part. I work every day to make sure that Corrales families are safe, that our school is equipped and ready to teach our students, and our teachers have the best equipment that they need to get their job done. My day job, I'm a Bernalillo County Sheriff's Deputy. I've worked hard every day of my life to be the best at what I do. At least I try to be. I will take that 20 plus years of law enforcement experience. I'll take it to the roundhouse with me in Santa Fe and work hard every day to make sure that our New Mexico families are safe. I could lean into those conversations on day one. Of course, with my background, public safety is my biggest issue. You know, I see it on a very unique spectrum every single day. What is leaning towards our public safety epidemic in this state? I believe that some of the policies that were in place that have been implemented in the past either are not working efficiently enough or they're not being implemented correctly. I can take that experience, lean in on day one, and add to that conversation and keep New Mexico families safe. Like I said, being a fourth-generation rancher farmer from right here in Sandoval County, I know this district. I know the people. I know that the environment is one of the biggest issues facing our society today. I'm an advocate of alternative energy, water, solar, air, everything that makes us whole. I'm a big advocate for the alternative energy in New Mexico. Of course, public education. I've been very critical of our public education department for the last several years. I think we've made leaps and bounds in the last 2 years as far as our public education goes. We owe it to our students. We owe it to our teachers to have the best opportunity to succeed. I'm running to, I know this district. I will work hard for this district. I know the people of this district. This district holds a special place in my heart. Not only did I grow up here, I know it. I love this district. I will work hard. My name's Kevin Lucero, and I appreciate your support. Thank you for listening to me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Kevin. Now we're going to go into the Q&A section. My plan was to end at 12:30. Of course, you know, time's running a little bit long. So my plan is to go about 20-25 minutes and maybe a half an hour. If I notice a lot of people having to jump off, including our senior candidates, then I'll consider leaving things early. But my plan is to go for another 25 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm not going to time anybody in their responses. All I'm asking for of our three candidates is to be considerate of the other of your opponents and to keep your remarks as pithy as possible. If you're going too long, you're getting a bit wordy, I'm going to start talking over you just so you can, just to kind of remind you to be respectful of your opponents as well. So with that said, the first question I'm going to ask all three of you, and I'm just going to randomly pick what order you guys are going to go in. The first question I have is, why are you a Democrat? Actually, what are your fundamental values, and tell us why you are a Democrat? And I'm going to go with Brenda first. Please answer that question.
Thank you, John. So why am I a Democrat? I've been a Democrat since the 4th grade, and it takes me back to my dad watching Ronald Reagan and being completely mesmerized by the man. And even me as a kid then, I saw right through him. So ever since then, I've been a very active Democrat. And I've been a volunteer wherever I've been with the Democratic Party, the League of Women Voters, and with every neighborhood association that I've been part of. And John, there's a part 1 to that question. Could you repeat that phrase?
Yeah, so what are your fundamental values and why are you a Democrat? So fundamental values.
Fundamental values, environment. Someone's asked me before, what is your religious persuasion? And I look up and I tell them the environment. So taking care of the environment is very important to me. Civil rights are very important to me. Women's reproductive rights are very important to me. And taking care of each other, right? When we see an injustice done or someone is suffering, being there and not assuming someone else will take care of it. Thank you.
Okay, Ben, please answer the question.
Great. Am I unmuted? Okay. Well, first of all, at its most fundamental, when I look at the two parties, I consider the Democrats to be the party of we. We are inclusive community. We look out for each other. I think the Republicans at their core are the party of me. They're selfish. They look out for themselves. So for me, that makes it very easy to be a Democrat. My core values are quite similar to the rest of you. I care about this earth and protecting it, the environment, conservation. I care about other people. I care about criminal justice. I've always been endorsed in every prior campaign by Planned Parenthood. I had a perfect voting record on reproductive and preventive health care. But if you take it away from these specific issues, I think the core reason that I'm running, and this is a very personal reason, and I don't actually talk about this publicly that often, is disparity. This state has income disparity, wealth disparity, has education disparity, healthcare disparity, opportunity disparity. And so my core purpose and hope in serving is that I can mitigate all of those disparities, if not erase them. And that's going to take a lot of work in a lot of different policy areas, but I have the experience and I'm ready.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ben. Kevin.
I've been a Democrat all my life. My grandfather was a Democrat. Where I come from, my grandfather was a Democrat. My dad was a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. I believe the Democratic Party suits my values as much as they can. From a very young age, you start thinking, right, what's important? Equality, opportunity, tolerance, diversity, in a membership, the diversity in the membership of the party, just take anybody on this call, or take my other two opponents. We come from very different backgrounds, right? Very different backgrounds, but we all can agree on some things as far as what's important to us, right? Everybody wants clean water in abundance. Everybody wants clean, open public lands. Everybody wants affordable health care. We want to take care of our kids and educate them and take care of their health and well-being. I've worked hard every single day of my life. I believe the Democratic Party stands with working families. I believe that, there's some equality in that. And that's what I believe in. When someone works hard, they deserve what they get. They should reap the benefits of their hard work, and I believe the Democratic Party stands for that. I've been involved in I'd like to say I've been involved in politics for the last 25 years. I remember here in Sandoval County, I've supported this Democratic Party. I've supported Democratic candidates in Sandoval County. I've knocked on doors. I've made phone calls. I've wrote checks. I remember even as far back as probably the early to mid 90s, I was putting up political signs in Ponderosa, New Mexico for former Sheriff Ray Rivera, and that's not when they had the fancy ones. You had to kind of get the stake and the 2x2 stake and hammer it in the ground. There were big signs. And I remember it was important to me that we elect good leadership, good, strong leadership to lead our village, our state, our country. And I think that's very important. I think that, those are the values that I cherish in my party. And that's why I'm Democrat.
Thank you so much, Kevin. So for our next question, winning the primary is one thing. However, this is going to be a very closely contested seat, and the Republicans are gunning for it. Past elections have been close. How would you transition to a general election campaign? And for this, I'm going to lead off with Kevin.
Thank you, John. Listen, I have a very diverse background. I have a very strong background in public service. I have a very strong background in public safety. I have a very strong background in the way I handle my district here in Corrales. There's things that are very important to me. Of course, I have to work, here in Corrales, we're worried about our budget right now, and we're taking steps. I think I could end that conversation. I think I could stress the background I do have in public safety, in public service, in some of my thoughts and beliefs that I think I could fare well against a Republican opponent in November. I believe with my background and my history and my experience, I could win an election against a Republican in this district.
Thank you, Kevin. Ben.
Yeah. The declined estates are going to be key in the general. You mentioned John's prior campaigns and winning by essentially recount numbers. In 2016, Sapien won by less than 200 votes out of 25,000 cast, and he was a two-time incumbent at that juncture. So there's a very, very real chance that the Republicans can pick up this seat if we don't have the strongest candidate in the general. And it's the point of this election now is not actually to win the primary. And so I have actually been running for the general this entire time. And how that's happened is that, I've been running print ads in the local papers. I've been doing digital on Facebook. I've been doing automated calls. And all of that, I've actually been targeting towards the declined estates. So I've already been laying the groundwork for the general. And there was a big study after the 2018 elections. And the biggest boost that any candidate could have in those elections, they found nationwide, was to have prior elected experience. And I am the only person that has prior elected experience, having served in the New Mexico House. So I think I'm in a strong position to hold this seat for us in November.
Thank you so much, Ben. Brenda?
Number one, if you ask my family and friends who shows up and who's the last to leave, that would be me. So I plan to outwork everybody. That's Democrats and Republicans alike. And I will be known as one of the hardest workers in the roundhouse. I don't stop. I just don't. However, for the general, and because of the COVID-19, my team and I were going to have to do all the more investment in digital, and that's fine. Also, we're going to do a mail program. Going to recruit a lot more volunteers, endorsements. I'm on the phone every single day. So I've been having some very good conversations, even with those across the aisle, and they've gone very well. Also, very importantly, I want to ally myself with the governor. She is incredibly popular. She's doing the right thing. She's making great decisions. And most importantly, she surrounds herself with scientists and public health officials that are going to help New Mexico make the right decisions as we come through this, as we survive and survive this this emergency. I also want to pay close attention to the Economic Recovery Council that she has started, because she has some stellar folks there, very capable, intelligent folks who are going to be advising her, making good, sound decisions. And those sound decisions, helping New Mexico make an economic rebound in light of the oil and gas collapse, those are decisions that are going to affect Democrats, Republicans, decline to states, those that are going to vote for me in November. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brenda. So for our next question, so right now, in addition to public health crisis, we're in an economic crisis as well. Your own chairman, Sandoval County Chairman, is unemployed right now. So this is an especially important question to me. What measures are you prepared to support in the state Senate? And if you were in the same room with Michelle Lujan Grisham, 6 feet apart, of course, how would you advise her the best way to revive our economy? And this time, Ben, if you could please answer that question first.
Sure. So there's no magic answer to this, John. This is takes a multi-pronged approach. We have to spend on infrastructure, and obviously those are dollars into the economy. We have to improve our education. I mean, our education has been failing our students, and the greatest economic driver throughout human history has been education. So we've got to focus on that. We've got to focus on transitioning away from coal and oil and gas. We can't be that reliant as we are now, so that when we have these collapse in oil prices, it impacts our budget. I mean, luckily we have a $1.9 billion surplus that we can draw from. And we also, this permanent fund that we keep talking about, the state's permanent fund, the state is not a person. That is not a retirement fund for us, okay? We don't have to keep growing that. That fund is there specifically for difficult times like these. And so we have to come up with some sort of an algorithm for when we can use that. And certainly this time qualifies for when we can use that, those funds. And we shouldn't just be talking about using them for early childhood funding. We need them for core funding. And core funding to me includes healthcare, public safety, and education. Now, every time I've talked to the governor in the last few years, and particularly when I was president of the Renewable Energy Industry Association, she talked to me about solar. She wants to put solar on every building in the state, and I've talked to her about doing energy audits. There's a lot of clean energy jobs that we can create through that. And another thing that's bothered me in the past when I was in the House was we used to throw money at out-of-state corporations. Essentially, you know, Tesla or Hewlett Packard would come in and would be this sort of glamorous Hollywood idea of they're going to bring all these jobs and we're going to give them $35 million. I don't want to give money to out-of-state corporations. I want to support in-state businesses that are going to stay here and the jobs are going to stay here. And we're going to support our local businesses to expand and grow. So it's not one single answer, John. It's a lot of individual things that we have to work on concurrently to move us forward. And it has to be a long-term plan.
Thank you so much, Ben. Brenda.
Diversify, diversify, diversify. And fortunately, we already have a good sense from our governor how she wants to do that, right? From agricultural products. I know cannabis didn't pass this last time, but I sure would support the legalization of recreational cannabis and support the growth of hemp. It's my understanding from Bill McCamley's office, New Mexico stands to get 11,000 jobs once cannabis is legalized in the state. We can do this. I have friends in Colorado who have legalized cannabis, and what are they using with that tax revenue? They're improving their educational system and they're helping the homeless. And that's just a start of what we could do. Also with the passage of the Energy Transition Act, right? It's kind of our highway to really transition off of oil and gas. And what does that mean? We're getting really excited for pattern development. In the next quarter, hopefully, they're going to start construction of the wind turbines, right? New Mexico has some of the best wind in the nation. We can harness that. Less demand for oil and gas. I also want to make home conversions from conventional to solar a lot more affordable. I've heard time and time again, folks can't afford it. We should make it affordable for them. Again, less demand for oil and gas and coal. I also want to make getting electrical vehicles a lot more affordable, or even credits, right? Again, if we're using electrical vehicles, less demand for oil and gas. And I think the most concerning reason, we have 10 years tops to arrest climate change. Otherwise, we're going to be going over the cliff. So I can't think of yet another reason more important to get us off of oil and gas and diversify, diversify, diversify. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Kevin.
Thank you, John. You know, we are in some unprecedented times. It's unprecedented times for everybody. And I think it's very important that we have strong leadership in Santa Fe when we address this economic crisis that we are going to be in. And I know we're gearing up for it here in Corrales. I think it's very important that we approach this pensively, smartly, and use a scalpel instead of a hacksaw when we are trying to, you know, shore up some of our programs. I think it's very important that we do not make, that we just don't go in there and just make drastic cuts to everything and hurt our future generations. I think New Mexico is in a very unique spot. I think we can do this. I mean, all options are on the table, right? We do have funds. We do have funds specifically for this very instance, for this very time. And I think if we approach it the way we're supposed to, and this is in a very, very economic minded manner, that I believe that we can come through this. And you know, it's gonna be there's gonna be sacrifices made, right? And that's the whole truth of it. But I think if we approach it very smartly and pensively, I think we can come through this very steadily. And I think we have the leadership to do it. And I would love to be part of that process. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much, Kevin. So for our next two questions, they should just really require short responses. I got a version of this question from 7 different people. Abortion, of course, as we know, House Bill 51 attempted to decriminalize abortion, which is law on the books right now. Pro-life, pro-choice. Kevin.
You know, John, thank you, John. As an elected official, John, I support and trust women and men make the best healthcare decisions for them and their family.
Brenda?
I strongly support repeal of the 1969 anti-abortion law. I'm an ardent supporter of a woman's right to choose healthcare decisions that are best for her, and government should never insert itself in anyone's healthcare choices, period.
Ben?
I have 2 daughters, Melina and Natalie, 15 and 21, and I would literally give my life to protect their rights to choose what they can and can't do with their bodies, with their minds, with their careers. In every prior election, I've been endorsed by Planned Parenthood. I have a perfect voting record there, and we need to repeal that law, and getting rid of the conservative coalition in the Senate, which is something that you know, I can help do with my election. And if we elect Pam and Saya down south and pick up one more Republican seat, we can start putting through some real democratic positive legislation.
Great, thank you. This is a hard-fought primary. Should you lose, are you going to support the winner of this primary? Brenda?
Absolutely, we can't, I will support, if I am not victorious, I will support Kevin or Ben. I am determined we have to keep this seat blue. I don't even want to think about it going red, period. Period.
Thank you, Brenda. Kevin?
Absolutely. I believe this is a very important seat to keep. I will support Brenda and or Ben in the event I'm not victorious. I think not only in this race, all down ballot races, Democrat.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Ben?
Of course, we're a family, right? We're a team, we're Democrats. This is just a discussion about where we each sit at the table, what our responsibilities are. The goal is November, and we're united towards that, and we will all work together, Brenda, Kevin, and I, and everyone else in this district, to hold on to this seat for the Democrats.
Great. That's very heartening to hear from all three of you. So I will count on you guys phone banking and canvassing to support the winner once we get past June. Okay, so we're going to take two more questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take the questions from the chat box here. So whoever types first, I'm sorry, it's a sprint. So I want to get one question from the chat box, and then I'm going to ask to have the candidates. Anybody? Looks like Oscar's raising his hand. Go ahead, Oscar.
I can't type that fast, John, sorry. So my question to each of the candidates, with a lot of what's happening across the state and what's being highlighted with what's happening in Grant, New Mexico, with the mayor there and the tension between the governor, how do you, if you get elected, plan to work with the governor on moving forward through these phases that they have set forth for bringing the economy back up? What understanding do you have of the role as a senator and what that can, what you can do in that position?
I'll have Kevin answer that one first.
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, our governor has shown some awesome leadership as in response to this pandemic, and breaking down her phased opening of this state. I got to agree with it, but we also got to keep people safe, right? Here in Corrales, we're working double time to make sure that we keep our facilities, we make our programs. It's been kind of crazy here in Corrales as far as trying to make sure that we allow people to keep attending our growers market. We had to kind of reinvent the wheel there, and it's working out spectacular. I think it's very important that we support our leadership and the phasing in of opening up this state, as far as the businesses that are opening, how they're going to open, and we're going to support what they say, right? Because it's just a matter of keeping people safe. This is a real pandemic. This is a real virus, and it affects all of us. It will affect all of us. As a public safety official, I'm still working, so I take every precaution I need to make sure that the people around me, my friends, my family, are safe. I believe the governor's doing that as well. I think that's a very important issue that we're going to have to address. And you take the advice from your scientists and your researchers and your numbers people, and you make the best decisions possible.
Ben.
Yeah, I have a record of working well with Democratic governors in the past. Governor Richardson asked me to carry his cap and trade bill. It's teamwork. Michelle has an amazing team. She's put amazing secretaries into all these spots, and just some of the smartest people we've got here. So it's going to be teamwork between the House with my friend Brian Egolf, Speaker, and us in the Senate, and the governor's office. We're going to work together, and we're going to look at the fiscal impacts, and we're going to look at the studies and the numbers, and we're going to look at what other states have done and learn from their mistakes or their successes. And we're just going to partner together, and we're going to do the hard work necessary to rebuild New Mexico.
Thank you, Ben. Brenda.
I think it'd be very important, John and fellow Dems, that we use the attitude of we, as in we New Mexicans, regardless of party. And I would also be very willing and welcome if the governor wanted me to serve in any additional capacity to help her do what she and her Economic Recovery Council have identified needs to be done. Because I can imagine, they've already convened. They've probably got some great ideas. They've probably got a timeline. They've got champions. So I would want to work in tandem with her and her recovery team and her administration, and willing to take on whatever she sees that I can handle and help her with.
Great, thank you so much. So we just have two more questions. One is going to be a very short answer. What committee would you like to be on? Just tell us the committee. There's no need for follow. Just tell me what committee you'd like to be on. Brenda.
I like environmental and judicial.
Ben.
Conservation and legislative finance.
Kevin.
Judiciary and education.
Okay, so for our last question, I'm just going to end it there so I can be respectful of everybody's time. What have candidates done to help the Democratic Party Sandoval County? Ben, you'll go first on that.
Sure. Again, everything that we've been doing in terms of print and digital and automated calls have gone much wider than just the narrow focus that most campaigns do on the primary voters. So we have been reaching out more broadly to Democrats. There are in our district 16,000 registered Democrats, but I'm sure each of the campaigns has got that focused down to who they're talking to 4, 5, 6,000. But we've been reaching out through the more public advertising to everybody. And we've had digital ads asking people to order their absentee ballots. We've been doing that in the print as well. So we're really trying to support the party top to bottom, get people activated and get them involved in voting.
Great. Kevin.
Thank you, John. You know, like I said before, I've been active in the Sandoval Democratic Party for the last 25 years. The last 15 years, I've ramped up my activity in the Democratic Party because I believe in it. I support the Democratic Party. I support its functions. I support its candidates. I've supported Laura and Leah and Alex. I've hosted parties for some of these. I've donated money. I've canvassed for them. I've supported them. I support the Democratic Party in Sandoval County, and I have, and I will work hard for this party. I will work hard for this district. I'm very vested in this party. I'm pushing my volunteers. We're trying to get out the vote. We want activity. We want people to vote. That's one of our biggest things. Thank you, John.
Brenda.
And John, pardon my oversight. Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What have the candidates done to help the Democratic Party Sandoval County?
What have
you done to help the Sandoval County Democratic Party? That's a question from in the chat box here.
Oh, very good. Okay. So the very first thing I think about, so I have served as a volunteer for the League of Women Voters Central New Mexico, which encompasses Sandoval County. I have served them as a volunteer on the board and also as a PR director for many years. I would still be doing it now. However, with the job with Congresswoman Deb Haaland, I simply don't have the time to do so. But I mention that because I love the voter's guide, and especially when I was in school, in college, I depended upon that voter's guide to help me decide whether or not I wanted to vote for certain candidates, bonds, amendments, etc. And so I am really proud of the tradition of the League of Women Voters and producing the voter's guide, which engages and invites every party of every political persuasion to participate. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan. If anything, our strength is about ensuring that everybody has access to registration and to vote. And so I'm very proud of my participation with League of Women Voters.
Great, thank you so much, Brenda. Well, again, I want to thank everybody so much for appearing today. It's great to see everybody. I can't wait to do this in person. Apologize that it ran a bit long. For those who'd like to give feedback on the Zoom platform or how we ran things, particularly if folks have alternatives to suggest, please email me or Deb Dapson. For example, if you think FaceTime works better, please email us and tell us why you think that would work better. But otherwise, also, just to repeat, second Saturday, next May 9th, register with Deb Dapson. And then we have a special third event this month, which is on May 13th at 6 o'clock with the County Treasurers Forum. Please register with me for that. Scheduled on the evening so people can make it for after work. That will feature Ronnie Cisneros and Jenny Taylor.